Hello viewers, a very warm welcome to all of you today. Today we will discuss a very beautiful poem entitled On His Blindness written by John Milton. This poem is a Petrarchan or Italian sonnet. So it is divided into two parts. First 8 lines are called as octave and last 6 lines are called as sestet. The theme of this poem is accepting one's fate with calm, patient resignation. About the poet, John Milton was born on December 9, 1608 in London. Lived on Bread Street in Cheapside. Milton began to lose his sight in 1644 but went completely blind around 1650. He died November 8, 1674 in London, England. Let's reciting the poem. When I consider how my light is spent, or half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lost with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve there with my Maker and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labor lie denied? I fondly ask, but patience to prevent that murmur soon replies. God doesn't need either man's work or his own gifts. Who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed, and post over land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. The rhyming words are spent, bent, wide, height. So the rhyming scheme is A, B, B, A. Present, prevent, chide, denied. Rhyming scheme is CD, DC. Need, speed, best, rest, and wait. The rhyming scheme is EFG, EFG. Let's start explaining the poem. When I consider how my light is spent, or half my days in this dark world and wide. In the first stanza, the poet shows his agony. He says that at the age of his 44, he lost his eyesight. These lines have an autobiographical element. Here the poet says that when he thinks how he lost his eyesight when his half life was past, he becomes nervous, sad and gloomy. He explains that at the age of 44, he lost his vision. He was unable to see. He had hardly spent the half span of his life. Here light is used for his life. The whole world seems to him in complete darkness. The summary. The poem begins with the speaker's consideration of how he has spent the years of his life represented as his light. This light, as well as being a metaphor for life, is also a literal representation of the days of Milton's life in which he could see. The second line expands on that, explaining that before even half of the speaker's life had passed, he is forced to live in a world that is dark and wide. Since Milton went blind at 42, he had had the opportunity to use his writing skills, his talents in the employ of Oliver Cromwell. He had risen to what was, more than likely, the peak of his possible achievement, the highest position a writer in England could hope to gain. He didn't know at the time that his greatest works would be written while he was blind. His talents come into play in the next line, which are some of the trickiest in the whole piece. And that one talent which is dead to hide, lost with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve there with my Maker and present my true account, lest he returning chime. These lines shows his helplessness. He thought that due to his blindness he could not use his poetic talent given to him by God. It is kept with him useless. Lost with me useless means it is kept with him useless. And if this talent is not used, it is the death of his talent. In his state of blindness, he could not render any service to the Almighty. Though my soul more bent, though means though his soul is more inclined and interested to offer his service to the God. But in his state of blindness, he is unable to present his true account to God. He is inclined to represent his true account of poetry written to admire the God. But at the same time, he fears that God may punish him if he doesn't offer any service to him, lest he returning child. It means he has a fear that God may rebuke him for his blindness. In a pathetic mood, he sees this type of thoughts, this type of ideas. Summary: when Milton refers to a talent, he is relating the loss of his ability to read and write to the servant in Matthew 25, who buries the money given to him by God in the desert rather than investing it wisely. It is death to Milton to have hidden, through no choice of his own in this case, his talent beneath his blindness. Milton speaks of his talent. This talent, his skills with words and love for writing, was his entire life. His livelihood and self-worth depended on it. This word talent is the most important in understanding these lines. As a biblical scholar, Milton was familiar with the text of the Bible and chose to reference the parable of talents from Matthew 25 here. Doth God exactly day labor, light denied, I fondly ask. At this point, Milton is finishing the sentences that he began at the beginning of the poem with the word when. In short, he asks, does God require those without light to labor? He wants to know whether when he is not able to continue his work due to his blindness, will God still require work from him? In a pathetic mood, the poet himself asks if God requires extra labor even from the blind people. This type of question shows his foolishness, though he doesn't want to question the wisdom of God. Yet, in a state of grief, he puts such a question to his inner soul. And on the next moment, he consoles himself from his inner soul. But patience to prevent that murmur soon replies, God doth not need either man's work or his own gift. Who best bear his mild yoke, these serve him best. This is the octave part, or in this octave part, the poet shows his agony and helplessness in the state of his blindness. In these lines, he explains that when he makes a complaint against God, his inner soul prevents him complaining the wisdom of God. His soul tries to soothe him, saying that God doesn't require either man's work or the return of his gifts. There is no need of all these. Instead of it, the person who tolerates the sorrows and sufferings given by God in a best way is the best devotee of God. These thoughts give relief to the saddened heart of the poet. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed, and post over land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. The last lines are completely consoling. As I have previously told you that the sestet part is the solution part. Or in a Petrarchan sonnet, the first octave part is the problem part, or in sestet part there is solution of the problem. So the last lines are completely consoling. Here the poet asserts that the kingdom of God is kingly. His state is kingly means the kingdom of God is kingly. His kingdom is royal like a king, and at his service thousands of messengers or angels work to follow his orders at any time. They move across the universe to carry out his service. The poet believes that those who simply or silently stand and wait or pray for his mercy are equally the best devotee of God. Just as the active followers are, Milton means to say that God only wants to complete surrender and full faith in him. These lines bring relief to the aggrieved heart of the poet and calmly resign himself to the will of God. Summary: Milton continues on invoking the personification of patience in the next line. Patience appears as a pacifying force to prevent that murmur in which the speaker would question God, as described above. Patience replies to the speaker's internal question, and the remainder of the poem is that response. Patience compares God to a king, saying that his state is kingly with thousands at his bidding. These people in the state that is the world are part of the unlimited resources of the king God. They post or move quickly over land and ocean without pausing for rest. The poem ends with the answer to the speaker's unasked question that those who are unable to rush over land and ocean like Milton also serve God. Patience explains that God doesn't need special gifts or works from man, such as Milton's writings, but loves best those who bear his mild yoke. This complicated phrase references a yoke or a wooden frame that are used to be placed around the neck and shoulders of plowing animals. This would allow the animals to be directed around the field. Essentially, the poet means to say those who give over their life to God and accept that He is in control of their fate are loved best. That is what God requires, not gifts or works. So, this was all for about this poem entitled as On His Blindness. Hope the concept has been clear to all. Thanks for watching and have a good day.